Hello all, welcome to the DevOps Planet. So far in my previous video, we saw how we can launch a container and then we install and configure Apache2 server over that container and then we create our customized image that has already installed Apache2 using that running container and then we launch a new container. So if you want to do again this setup, you have to execute every command one by one. First you will download an image, you will launch a container, you will install Apache 2, you will create an image and then again you will launch a new container. So what we can do, we can write down all these commands in a file and then we can create an image and we can launch a container. So that file is called Dockerfile. So in this video, we will see how we can write Dockerfile, what is the use of Dockerfile, how we can create the image using Dockerfile and how we can launch a container. So to start with this, first let me write down a Docker file. So I'm opening a file using Vim editor and the file name is itself Dockerfile. So when we do it manually, so first we download the image. So we pass the image name, that is Ubuntu. To download the image, the command which we pass in the Docker file is from. So this command will download the Ubuntu latest image. Once the image is downloaded, the next step what we did is we launch a container and then we update our apt repository. So I'm writing the command to update my repo, that is apt get update. And once the repository is update, we install the Apache 2 server. So I'm writing the command to install the Apache 2. And I'm passing the -y, so it will not ask for yes or no. Now, after these two commands, we update our default directory index file, that is index.html. So let me write the command to update the file. So command is echo. This is via Docker file, and we will override the content of index.html, and the default location for that file is where www.html folder. So I will update this file. Now to pass these commands, these three bits or Linux command in my Docker file, I will pass here run. So the run is the command in the Docker file that will execute when the image will create. So what will happen? First, we will download the image, that is Ubuntu latest. Then we will execute these commands on that image, and then we will create our final image. So now what we want, that once the image create, we will launch a container, and we want that whenever our container is start or when we launch the container, at that time Apache 2 must be running. So for that, we will pass the CMD option here. The CMD option is the command that will execute when the container will start or launch. Now to install the Apache 2, the command is slightly different. Sorry, to start the Apache 2, the command is slightly different here. So let me write down that command. So that is Apache 2, Apache CTL. So this is the command which will start the Apache 2 and it will run in the background of the Docker container. So now let me summarize this file to you. So what will happen? First, this command will execute, it will download the image. Then these three run command will execute. These three command will execute after the Ubuntu image download. And once these three command execute, our new image will get created. And after that, when we will launch a new container from that newly created image, this final command will execute. Now, one more point which I want to highlight here is when we install the Apache 2, it install in a interactive mode. Interactive mode means it asks for some user inputs, it asks for to select some values. But this is a continuous, this is a complete automation approach. So in this approach, I don't want any user interaction. So for this, I will set an argument, and to set the argument, I will pass the command that is arg argument, and the argument name is define frontend. And I'm keeping it value is non-interactive. So now our Apache 2 server will install in non-interactive mode. So now let me save this file. So this file has been saved, and let me check whether currently I have any image on my system or not. So I don't have any image, and this is the con content of my Docker file. So I'm downloading the Ubuntu image, I'm updating the repo, I'm setting the variable that I'm installing the Apache 2, and I'm updating the index.html code. And when the Docker container will execute or run or launch at that time, the last command, which is cmd, will execute. So now let me create an image from this Docker file. So the command is sudo docker build, and then we need to pass the location of the Docker file. So currently it is on root location, so I'm passing dot, which represent the current directory. And then hyphen t is for the tag. We need to pass the image name and the image tag. So I'm passing the image name as demo and tag version 1. So it will create an image demo version 1, and this image will have the Apache 2 installed and configure all these options. And the base image will be the Ubuntu image. So let me press enter. So before this, one more point I want to highlight here is it will use the cache of my system because I have created these images multiple times. So to create the image from the scratch, I will pass here one option that do not use cache. So for that, I need to pass one uh, parameter here, that is hyphen hyphen no hyphen cache. So now it will create the image from the scratch. It will not use any previous cache. So I press enter now. So let's see how this works. So it has loaded the Docker file definition here. So the image is, it has load from the metadata because I have downloaded multiple times. So every time when we download image, it is stored the internal metadata. So it has found the image from there. Now, if you can see that this is the second command which we passed in our Docker file, and that command is apt get update. Now it is executing the command, and currently there is no Docker container running on my system. Currently we are creating the image. So let it complete, it will take some time. The first command is executed successfully. Now it is executing the second command, that is to install the Apache 2. So now it will install the Apache 2, and as we are installing it is a non-interactive mode, it will not ask for any user input. And also we have passed the -y option here in this command, so it will not ask for the even yes or no. So let this command complete. So this is about to be completed. So it is enabling module now. Let it be, it will take a few more seconds. Okay, so it has done. So now you can see that it has started the other command, that is to update the uh, index.html file. So it will take hardly some seconds. So now after all the command execution has been done, it has started the image creation part. So it is creating a final image, and the image name will be demo and the version will be version 1. So it has written the message here, the image is creating and the name of the image is this one. So now if I check the images, So there must be one image that is demo1, and this has been created 38 seconds ago. So now this image contained Apache 2 server enabled. So during the execution of this command and when the image created, we saw that these three commands executed, but this command will not didn't execute because here we have written the CMD. So it will execute when the container get launch or start. So now let's launch a container using this image. So the command we have already seen in our previous video, sudo docker run -dat. I'm passing a name that is let's suppose demo1 is our container name, and I'm passing the image. So the image name is demo and the image version is version 1. So now uh, it will launch one container, and the container name will be demo1, or let me change the name. Let me pass the name as container1. So the container name will be container1, and this is the image name and version. So let me press enter. So it has launched one container. So as we have configured Apache 2 in this container, and also we update the index.html file in this container. So if I go on the browser from the IP of this container, so the Apache 2 server must be enabled and must be launched. So let's see whether our container is running or not. So the command is sudo docker ps. So we can see one container is running, and in the command option, you can see one command is running. This is the command we passed in our Docker file. So the same command we can see here, which is running in our command tab. So now let me get the IP of this container. So the command is sudo docker inspect, and we need to pass the either container name or container ID. So let me pass the container name here. It will give us the information about the container. So this is the information which we are looking for, that is the IP address. So let me copy this IP and let me go to the browser and paste this IP and press enter. So now we can see that page has been launched, and content we can see this is by a Docker file. So the same content we update in our index.html using the Docker file. So in my previous video, we did the same setup using multiple commands. We launch a container, we execute these commands one by one, then we create a new image, and then again we launch a container. And also we saw that how we enable the Apache 2 because by default it was not enabled. But in this video, we did the same thing using some command and using one single file. So we write down few command and it create an image and we launch the container. So that's how we can write a Docker file. That's how we can execute the command. We can create our image and we can launch our container. So I hope you like this video. Thanks for watching this.